Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to La PIñA Rosa. Luckily, the anger and depression is saved for tomorrow when we do Year of the Bird, same time at 11:30 a.m.
For him.
Uh, for me, anyway. Yeah, for me, anyway. But we're here today not to talk about Spurs, thankfully. That will have to wait till tomorrow. But we're here to talk about, of course, Palermo and Deportivo. Of course, Deportivo just returned from the winter break. Palermo is still in their winter break with another week still to go. However, some big things have happened, including transfers, Deportivo making signings, Palermo having especially one significant outgoing in our captain, Brunori, which we will talk about, of course. And yeah, for those, bit off topic, for those that haven't seen the news, Ruben Scamarim is gone. He's left Manchester United. But all I pray for now is that Jim Ratcliffe goes and gets his buddy Southgate, because that, I think, will be glorious to see. And of course, later, guys, 10 is doing a watch along for Nigeria against Mozambique in the AFCON. So go and check that out later on his channel. Of course, this is being streamed on both channels. So please subscribe to both and get all your thoughts in the chat on everything we speak about today. But 10, welcome back. How are you? Good to kind of do this show after a couple of weeks. But good to be back.
Yeah, good to be back. Obviously, woke up to the news. To Ruben Scamarim. I know, don't want to make this Premier
It's a shame. It's a shame it's not Thomas Frank. Although I think we probably should sack him after January, if I'm being brutally honest. But still,
but yeah, but obviously Deportivo played last night, so obviously get to talk about that, and obviously looking ahead to the next few games in both of our seasons, because obviously, actually, I guess I can say, in about 2 days from now, Deportivo will find out who we get in the cup, and it's somewhat guaranteed we're playing one of the teams in the Supercopa this midweek. Almost,
wow.
It's 4 out of 5 chance, basically. So hopefully, if we get a big team and it fits my schedule, maybe I'll do a watch long of like
Deportivo against Real Madrid
or Boston.
Yeah.
But yeah, but looking forward to 2026.
Yeah, 2026. Happy New
Year.
Year.
We both don't get promoted.
Yeah, look, I said this earlier. I said this on like a previous show. But like, wouldn't it be hilarious if like one of us gets promoted and then one of us doesn't? Like, it would be just so like weird. I think. But hopefully we both get promoted. Of course, both teams are still.
Or we both get relegated together.
I don't know about that. Maybe. I always say this with Palermo, that like I feel like this is obviously easy for me to say. Obviously, it's not really based on, any evidence. But like I've maintained for a while that once Palermo do get promoted, I do believe we will stay there. Kind of like you'll see it in the way it will be kind of like how people have seen Como, like the way they've kind of stayed and everything. I do believe we'll see something similar. But the problem is it's about getting into Serie A in the first place, which has obviously been a massive block for us over the last few years or so. So I think that's the toughest step. I feel like once we get there, I'm very confident that we'll be able to stay there. That's for sure. But we'll see what happens, of course, come the end of the season in regards to that. But let's start things off with Deportivo. Before we get into any games, of course, they did play against Cádiz yesterday. A bit of transfer news to talk about regarding Deportivo. If I'll just share this here. If you guys see this. There we go. So Deportivo have announced 2 players. First of all, a signing, a new goalkeeper, Alvaro Fernandez, has joined fell here. As you can see, there's the statement. He joins on a free transfer from Sevilla. I don't believe he was a starter for Sevilla because they've had the likes of Bono, and like they've had like is it Nyland as well. So I don't believe he was a starter. He has 43 games in La Liga, 12 in the. Who did he play for in the Premier League?
Ooh. Sounds like a West Ham. That's what it sounds like.
Was he at West Ham? Because I
might have to check.
He's a under 19, U21, U23 international, all of this stuff. So quite a young goalkeeper, relatively young. Is he? I don't really know. Obviously, you'll know a lot more about this than me, but would you say he's coming in as a starter, or would you say he's going to compete with your starting goalkeeper?
I mean, what do you call this? Yesterday, he was starting, I believe. So it seems like this is a move to bring in a new goalkeeper. So something that Newcastle don't do, really. But
I mean, you guys have been playing Palermo
yeah,
this season.
yeah. Who's been okay. I believe, yeah, he was with the squad when Deportivo got promoted 18 months ago. And then obviously, I think now you could say it's probably time to upgrade on the goalkeeper, even though he didn't keep.
So he was at Brentford. He was actually at Brentford
There.
in the 21-22 season. He was their backup keeper to David Raya.
Oh, so there. Yeah, I think overall, I knew it was a London club, but
yeah, I remember he actually played against us. I remember in that when they got. I remember now.
Did they win?
Yeah,
Brentford?
no, we beat them 2-0 because Conte does Conte things. You know what I mean?
Maybe it was Frank, but oh wait, it was Frank.
It was Frank. It was Frank's Brentford. Yeah.
But overall, I think this signing for Deportivo hopefully turns out well. I hope. Obviously, a new goalkeeper, and obviously we got a new fullback as well.
Yeah. So who did you? Where is it? If this loads, so you guys. If I just find it again. Yeah, your website's kind of weird. It's like.
Yeah, it's not fancy.
It's a weird format, your website. I mean, the Palermo one, which we'll come to in a bit, is a lot better, I feel like. But where is it? Here we go. Deportivo strengthened with right back Adria Altimiglia.
Yeah.
As you can see here, he arrives on another free transfer from Villarreal, born 2001. So a relatively young player. 34 games in La Liga, 63 in La Liga 2. Obviously, FC Barcelona Youth Academy. Again, another player. I'll be honest, I don't really know much about. I haven't watched him. So, anything to say about this signing?
It seems more. I mean, if he's from a free transfer, it seems like more of a squad depth. I would say. Obviously, I think. Obviously, this.
So he played at Leganes last season in La Liga. Played 26 games, so he was a starter for them.
Yeah, and then obviously I believe left and all that, and now he's joined us. So yeah, I mean he does kind of have a little bit of experience, getting promoted with Leganes a couple years ago when they got promoted from the Segunda, but then obviously got relegated with Leganes, and look at where Leganes are at the moment. But
yeah,
for signing like this, it's more about, I guess, adding squad depth, I would say, because I still think
I think from what I know, you guys have had a bit of a problem at right back this season. Yeah. I feel like you've kind of had a few injuries. You haven't had like a sort of nailed on starter. I feel like probably from what I've seen of Deportivo, I feel like you guys probably needed a right back, to be honest, going into this window.
Yeah, and then obviously and hopefully, maybe he comes in. Eventually, I think obviously we'll find out by the end of January, like if we got more signings, which I think we will. At least we're making more movement in Newcastle or so far. But I think it's about adding some defensive reinforcements, I would say, because I feel like midfield and attack, it seems pretty okay, but it's more about can we keep clean sheets, because obviously, the last 4 games, technically, in the Segunda, we haven't won. So, and that's because we didn't keep a clean sheet in any of them. So, yeah, I think it's important that we add some very good defensive reinforcements, and we'll see how things go, which obviously, the game last night, we didn't win.
Yeah, of course. Look, the winter break obviously finished for Deportivo. And they returned to their La Liga 2, and they took on Cádiz at home, and it was another disappointment because it was a 2-2 draw in a game which, from what I've seen, I didn't watch it live, but from what I've seen, Deportivo should have killed this game off. Like, they took the lead twice. They had chances to put the game to bed. But Cádiz, look, they stayed in there. They obviously look. This is the frustrating thing for Depor is that they conceded with 85 minutes. Like that's pretty late in the game. As you can see, 19 shots. They created a higher XG than Cádiz. As you can see here, these are all the stats as well. Maya, Villares with both goals for them. Again, like I said, going in front twice, being pegged back twice, it's never good. And unfortunately, this continues what has been a very barren run because that is now for Deportivo 1 win in their last 5. When you consider the form they were on before that run, they had won, I think, was it 5 games in a row they won?
Someone would have cut their head by now,
So this is what I'm saying. So obviously, as you can see with the lineup, both new signings starting, Fernandez and Altamira. But, the break seemingly hasn't really changed too much. It's similar problems, not really great at the back. And unfortunately, more drop points in a game which, if I'm being honest, they probably should have won if they were a bit more clinical. But 10, obviously, you followed this game a lot more closely than I did. What were your sort of thoughts on this game and results, of course?
Yeah, obviously, a draw. At least we didn't lose 4 in a row, which is good, I guess. But this game, I mean, the 2 goals that we scored were off deflections. You can say.
Exactly.
Both of them. So, but we got a bit of luck with that. But I feel like this game, we should have, killed the game off a lot earlier. I mean, 19 shots all game, but only 5 of them were on target. 2 of them, technically, maybe 2 of them wouldn't even be goals if they weren't in. But yeah, obviously, the lineup for the team, obviously, we had the new signings that we just talked about, Fernandez in goal, Altamira at right.
It means you can finally play David Mayer in his actual position.
Yeah, so hopefully, now maybe in the next few games we can improve the team because I feel like it's still pretty early in this. We're yet to be halfway through the season, so there's still plenty of time and we're still in and amongst it. But the lineup, I think, was a pretty decent lineup, I would say, from us because we played Stoichkov with Jeremiah, and obviously Jeremiah played really well. It's just that the defense, like Fernandez, the goalkeeper, didn't keep a clean sheet, conceded 2 goals. So, pretty good goals by Cádiz, but ultimately, we probably should have been at least 3-1 up.
Yeah, their second, I've just seen it now. Their second goal was a great finish. Finish, yeah.
From Georgia. But I think overall, it wasn't really the best performance from Deportivo, but I think it's about making sure that we can maybe start picking up points now because, we've not had a good December overall. So hopefully, we can kind of climb up the table.
Yeah, and I think obviously the frustrating thing is you've kind of picked up where you left off kind of before the winter break in terms of results anyway, because obviously that you've technically stopped the rot in terms of like, the losses and everything. And of course, Cádiz only 2 points behind, but this is more ground lost on the top 2 because now Las Palmas have picked it up.
And guess who we play next?
Las Palmas. Yeah, that's right. I think that's definitely a must win. That's for sure. Because if you look at it, that's 4 points now from second. Obviously, Santander, that they're drawing a lot, so potentially they could be got at as well. But I think if Deportivo want to really kind of keep that top 2 in sight, I think they have to beat Las Palmas because if it goes to 7 points, then it's a bit of a stretch if we're being honest. Albeit, it's still a long way to go, but I think it's not looking great in terms of the immediate future anyway for the table. So, what's your thoughts on the table? Obviously, considering you were second not so long ago, not far off the top 2, but now 4 points. It's not too great. I can imagine.
Yeah, obviously, I expected a little bit better than 0 points in December. So I think that's kind of killed a little bit of
I mean, you've lost to like Andorra here. You've dropped other points that you shouldn't have dropped. Like,
yeah, the only team that I was like, okay, fair enough, is Castellon because they were on a good run, and they're above us now. So it kind of shows just how competitive it is, and obviously, we see teams climbing up the table. If you see Malaga, or now somehow, remember when they were near the relegation zone when we played them? Look at Malaga; they're like what, 3 points from?
that's mad. Malaga have they've kind of pulled things together.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty tight in the promotion and relegation places because it's pretty tough. Obviously, I think the big hope is Deportivo in the next 3 games. We play the top 2, or actually, I believe the top 3. I think we played all of the top 3.
Damn.
I believe I have to check.
I think you've.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I think you have to go and win those games. If I'm being honest, just looking at the way the table's shaping up and kind of the situation, especially with recent results, I really think you have to start beating the teams around you to kind of make up for it. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we play Las Palmas, who are second. We play Almeria, who are third, and we play Santander, who are right now first. So this is probably, and obviously we started with not beating Cádiz at home, which who are sixth or seventh in the table. So, we have a very tough start to January. So we have to see how things go in terms of the results heading into our next 3 games or 4 games, including the cup game, whoever we get. So yeah, it's going to be a tough month for Deportivo. My expectation in the next 3 games, excluding the cup, I will say 4 points. I think I'll be okay with 4 points out of 9.
See, I'll be honest. I think you need more than 4 points. I think you need like minimum. I think you need minimum like 7 points, if I'm being honest. Just because if you hadn't been on this run of like these last 4 games, I would say maybe 4 points you can get away with. But I just feel like with these bad results, like 3 losses in a row, 1 win in 5, I feel like you need results in these games, if I'm being honest. But I hear you. Like I said, if it wasn't for that run, I'd be with you. But I don't know. I'm just looking at this, just kind of how I look at the table at the moment for you guys.
Yeah, and it kind of shows just how bad December was for.
Disastrous December for Depor, to say the least. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, the next game immediately is a big game against Las Palmas. Of course, sitting second. Look, you guys have the chance to go within 1 point of Las Palmas with a win. However, with a loss, the gap will extend to 7 points. So, it's kind of fine margins here. Obviously, a draw keeps it the same at 4 points. Nothing really changes. But I feel like this, if you guys are going to get back on form, this is the perfect game to start, I think. If you guys can get a win against Las Palmas, obviously, is it away from home? Am I right in saying?
Away.
Away. I mean, at home, you haven't been that great lately. So I think maybe, the away thing might not make,
at least it'll be, I have to probably check the weather. At least maybe it'll be nice and sunny.
In Gran Canaria,
because it's all the way in near Morocco, Senegal. So a lot better than very cold here in Spain, Galicia.
You should see the UK. It's -1 outside right now in the UK, and it's snowing. It's been snowing. So,
so maybe it might kind of help Deportivo with the weather, but obviously it will help the.
We have to remember it's been raining.
Yeah, we have to remember now it will be sunny probably, more or less. But I feel like this game against Las Palmas, I think we have to get a result in this one. Obviously, a loss would mean 7 points behind, and Santander play a relegation threatened team in Zaragoza.
When you look at Las Palmas, they've only conceded 12 goals this season. They've got by far the best defense in the league this year.
Yeah, so we have to really, really be clinical, I would say, because obviously the game against Cádiz, we didn't kill the game off and all that with the amount of shots we had. But I feel like overall, we need to get a result. So I'm not
Do
sure.
you know what's sad? Do you know what's really sad is that Las Palmas no longer have Ollie McBurney.
Yeah, I mean, because they got relegated.
Yeah.
So I feel like this game against Las Palmas will be pretty tough, obviously, because it's away. It's the first time we're playing them since they've gotten relegated from La Liga. So it's going to be quite tough to say. In terms of prediction for this game, I don't know if we're gonna make any signings at the moment for this.
I mean,
game.
what are you guys sort of close to signing anyone? Are you guys linked with anyone at the moment?
I haven't actually checked.
Fair enough. I guess look, when the news comes out, we'll probably talk about it on the next show.
Yeah, yeah, on Monday. So next Monday actually. But I feel like this game against Las Palmas, we have to get a result. But obviously, considering we haven't really done well in the past 4 games and all that in the league, I'll be somewhat optimistic. But when I say that, I mean a draw. I'll go 1-1.
Yeah, I think with your recent run, if I'm honest, I think you need to win, but I can't see you winning. That's the
I
problem.
mean, if we win, that'll be obviously great.
If you win, that changes a lot. Like you said, you go 1 point behind them, kind of opens it up again.
And
But if you lose, I think if you lose, I think if you lose, it's a lot more detrimental than drawing. I think there's a difference. But the problem is I can't see you winning. And I feel like it might be a draw. I feel like it's going to be like 0-0 or something. I just feel like it will be their defense is good. They haven't. Las Palmas have scored, I think, 11 less goals than Deportivo. Deportivo, obviously, could be a bit more clinical right now. So I feel like it's going to be 0-0. That's just my feeling, if I'm being honest, for that game.
Yeah, and to be honest, I wouldn't blame you for saying we don't win this. But if we win, we'll see. But
yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I guess that covers all the Deportivo stuff. Of course, we'll see. It will be interesting this week. We'll see who Deportivo get in the cup. Like you said, it will very likely be one of the big La Liga teams, Barca, Madrid,
Athletic Club, Atletico. At home,
yeah,
it will be
exactly.
At home.
So it will be probably a very interesting cup draw for Deportivo. No doubt we'll talk about that on the next show. But yeah, I guess that concludes everything with Deportivo. Of course, 2 new signings have come in. We'll see if anyone goes out or anyone comes in by the next show. I think they definitely need a couple reinforcements. I think probably someone else in defense, maybe someone up front as well, potentially. But
yeah,
we'll see what happens. But let's move on and let's talk about Palermo. Of course, I just got this new kit for the 125 years that we wore against Pescara on the anniversary game. Lovely kit. It took about 3 months to arrive, but it is what it is. But let's talk, before we get into Palermo's game against Padova and the upcoming game against Mantova, let's talk about some pretty big transfer news. Because I mean, there's two bits to talk about, which we will get into. If I can just find it. Where is it? I've lost it. One sec, guys. Lost it. Just get this up. Why is it not letting me share the screen? Oh, here we go. Finally. So, as you can see, if you guys can see this, the website, a lot more easier to navigate than Deportivo. Let's start with the first bit of news. That is Bardi. Of course, he was signed in the summer on a free transfer from Reggiana. It's been very unfortunate for him because he started the first game of the season and then he picked up an injury like straight away. He got in. He saved, I think, 2 penalties in the Coppa Italia game against Cremonese in the penalty shootout. Played well against Reggiana, funnily enough, against his old club in the first game. And then immediately got injured. And it was quite a long injury. He's only recently sort of come back. And because of that injury, and obviously Gomez getting injured as well, he's now back as well. We had a big Palermo the last couple of years. Have always had goalkeeping injuries for some reason. But we ended up signing Jesse Joronen, of course, who I think has been a great signing for us on a free from Venezia. He came in as sort of I think the plan initially was to have Bardi as the number 1. But he obviously got injured. We went and signed another keeper because I think we only had one fit keeper, which was our, very young Di Bartolo, who's like extremely young, I think, from the academy and everything. So for Bardi at Palermo, his luck has been very unfortunate because he came in, started the season, got injured. And then since he's come back, Joronen has been great for us. So he hasn't been able to get his place back in the team. And I think this makes sense for him to go out on loan. Obviously, he has joined Mantova. Of course, funnily enough, the team we're playing next. So he'll probably...
I'm guessing he's not eligible.
No, he is. In Serie B, loan players can play against their parent club. So he will play against us, I'm pretty sure. Because the rule is different to the Prem, where loan players can play against their parent club. So as you can see, it is a loan, but it is a loan with an obligation to buy. As Palermo FC announces, player Francesco Bardi has transferred to Mantova. Goalkeeper moves on loan with an obligation to buy. City Football Group, Chairman Miri, Davide Viri, of course, our president, and the whole Rossonero family wish Francesco the best of luck. So for me, look, he wants to play. He wants to be, for goalkeepers, look, it's very difficult to regain your place after losing it. Which, like I said, I don't think it really was his fault because that injury, I think, basically cost him. And obviously, Joronen has come in, and look, there's no reason why we should be dropping Joronen because he's been great since he's come in. But for me, just a very unfortunate move. To be a very unfortunate sort of situation. He was good last season at Reggiana. But he has gone. He has joined Mantova, and he will permanently be a player for them. He is not coming back to Palermo. Tanya, any thoughts on this? Like I said, I think he just very sort of unlucky for him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of say, I hope he becomes a club legend, both for Palermo for saving the 2 penalties, and a club legend for Mantova on the game.
It's funny, his first game will be against us. Like,
well, you know what I'm going to say now for my prediction, knowing that now.
Yeah. Yeah. But look, like I said, no hard feelings to him.
Yeah. I think it's obviously unfortunate getting that long injury and going. And now, obviously, especially nowadays, back in December, Palermo actually picked up form. So it's kind of unfortunate for him. But also, if Palermo were to get promoted, I'm saying then obviously you would probably expect someone like Bardi to be the one that would be one of the first names sold from Palermo if, going from Serie B to Serie A. So I think it's unfortunate, but also a very smart move. Probably not against the team you're playing against on this coming weekend, but I think overall, this is a transfer that probably should happen, even though there were circumstances. So maybe it's like a little bit preparing life if Palermo get promoted. Like, okay, you already have someone already off the books. If you were to get promoted. But
that's fair. That's fair.
True. But I feel like, and also because Johanen's done well, so I think maybe it's a good move for both the player and both clubs. Obviously, Mantova are in the relegation zone, but now they have a very good goalkeeper.
No, they do, but I like Bardi. Like, is he the greatest goalkeeper in the league? I don't think so, but I think he's
probably will be this weekend.
Probably. But I think that it was definitely I was definitely happy with the signing at the time. Like I said, I think he did well at Reggiana, but I think Joronen's been better, if I'm being honest, since I think he's... So I just think that this probably makes sense for all parties, if I'm being honest. But let's move on to probably our most significant outgoing for a long time, which is probably, if you guys know Palermo, that is probably, look, obviously we've been through a lot, the story of, going down all the way and stuff. So we have a very significant outgoing to talk about.
This is similar to the... what do you call this? That's Lucas Perez last January.
Yeah. Very similar to that, because who we're going to talk about is, of course, Brunori. And Brunori is our captain. he has been our only survivor from the team that played in Serie C, basically. The only player that was still at the club after since we got promoted to Serie B, we had a mass exodus of players. We signed about 20 players that summer, but Brunori, he stayed. He was kind of the linchpin to our team, kind of our main man for quite a long time. But he has been as you can see, he has been transferred to Sampdoria. I'm led to believe this is a dry loan with no option or anything. As you can see, Palermo FC announces that the player Matteo Brunori has been transferred to Sampdoria. The striker is moving on a temporary basis. Yeah, the reports kind of were true. It was a dry loan with no option or obligation or anything. So he will be back technically in the summer. But if I'm being honest, under Inzaghi anyway, this isn't too surprising, sadly, because he wasn't playing any football. Like, he hasn't played any minutes for months now, for like months now. It's just very unfortunate because before I get into sort of the emotional side of this, it's unfortunate because Brunori, I don't think, ever fit the system that Inzaghi was trying to play. Unless he took Poyampalo out, which was obviously never going to happen. So unless Poyampalo came out of the team, Brunori was never going to fit the system because he's not a left winger. It's just he was never suited to that role, and I think that it's kind of been unfortunate for him. He just hasn't fitted into the system that Inzaghi is trying to play. He hasn't been able to find the way to accommodate both Brunori and Poyampalo. So that's what I think has happened. So it hasn't actually surprised me that much. I know a lot of Palermo fans are obviously, very upset about this, which myself included, I'm definitely upset, but I'm not surprised. And I think that if we're being brutally honest, we have to back this manager and we have to do what's needed to get us to Serie A. And as sad as it is, I think this, for both parties anyway, because I think for Brunori, obviously he wants to play. He doesn't want to be sitting on the bench with no minutes and everything. But I think that, we need to freshen up that forward line. And I would have kept him personally. I would have kept him, but it's clear that he doesn't want to play second fiddle, which is understandable. Like I definitely wouldn't. If it was me, I definitely wouldn't be looking to get to loan him or sell him. I would have kept him, but clearly he's not happy with the game time and everything. So it makes sense for him to go to Sampdoria, who he will definitely start for. That's for sure. But the sad thing, it is really sad because Brunori, obviously, for those that don't know, this guy, the way that he's sort of seen by myself and every sort of Palermo fan is that, let's get this back up. So there we go. The way he's seen is he's a club legend, no doubt about it. He's our all-time top goal scorer now, I believe. He's been here for
Facing who?
Luca Toni, I think it was.
Oh wow!
I think, yeah. He's been with us since 2021. Obviously, initially joining on loan from Juventus Next Gen, so the Juventus Next Gen team.
Not Juve Stabia.
No, not Juve Stabia. Juve Next Gen.
AD 744 told me, "Oh, Juve Stabia is that?" No.
No, actually, they're called Juve Next Gen, Juventus, and he joined us on loan. We ended up signing him permanently after he played a massive part in getting us promoted to Serie B from Serie C. And I think what Brunori represents, and this is how me and a lot of fans feel, is that he's sort of the symbol of kind of the rebirth of the club, in the sense that when Palermo got liquidated, when we got sent down to Serie D and all of this, as soon as we got into kind of the real sort of progression of the club, Brunori, I think, was the kind of center of that. He was sort of the face of it all, getting us promoted to Serie B, after scoring, I think, over 25 goals in Serie C that season. Brilliant season in 21-22. And in Serie B, look, the last couple of years, he has got goals. Obviously not to the same level he was in Serie C, but he is getting goals. And most notably, he became our club captain in recent years. I believe it was at the start of last season, I think it was, or the season before. One of them. He became our club captain, and he's a club legend. He's a club legend. Like I said, sort of been the face of the rebirth of the club. He's been with us since Serie C and all of this. And it's really sad. It is really sad to see him leave but I just think, this whichever way we want to see it, this is just the next step of the club, in my opinion. This is, the next step. And unfortunately, Brunori, isn't going to be part of the team that hopefully, whether it's this season or whenever it is, he isn't going to be a part of the team that leads us to Serie A, because I think everybody wanted that to happen. Everyone wanted to see him be, whether he's a starter, everyone wanted to see him be part of the team that gets us to Serie A, because that would have been a full circle, because he would have gone from Serie C to Serie B to Serie A. It would have been a big sort of ladder. And it's just a shame that he's not going to be a part of that. Like I said, I'm not saying it's definitely going to be this season. I hope it is. But whether it's this season or next season, whenever it is, he's not going to be a part of it, it's just a shame, because if I'm being honest, I know the transfer is a loan deal, so with no option, but I just don't see him staying in the summer. If I'm being really honest, I don't see him, being here after his loan, if I'm being really honest. So it's a shame. I'm really sad about it. But at the same time, I think we have to back the manager. It's as simple as that. But like I said, if it was up to me, I would have kept him. I'm not saying he should start for us every game with Poi and Paolo there, but I would have kept him. But it's just sad, it's kind of, it's very sentimental. Our captain has kind of, taken us up the leagues, kind of back to where we belong, essentially. So, yeah, very sad news, but unfortunately not surprising, based on the way the season has gone for him and everything. And I'm look, hopefully at Sampdoria he does well. I really hope so. And he'll forever be a club legend. He'll go into the book with Dybala, Luca Toni, Grosso, all of these guys, Miccoli, Corini. Who'd you say?
Cavani,
yeah. He'll go into the same breath as all of these guys, no doubt about it. So a shame, and definitely a very sad day, that's for sure. I mean, Tem, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, obviously not. I mean, it's not the best in terms of a storyline perspective. Obviously, you want you could say the romanticism of him going from, third tier to the first tier, more or less. But obviously, it's a big move. Obviously, this happened. Obviously, I said, like Lucas Perez when he left last January.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And ultimately, we didn't get promoted that season. So, just saying. But obviously, Brunori being a club captain, obviously he can't be right now because he's not at the club. But obviously a big news, and the fact that this happened basically at the start of the January.
Well, I think it was done in December, because in the Padova game, which we'll talk about, he said goodbye. He said goodbye to all the fans. So I think the deal's been done for a while, but it's been officially announced.
Yeah. So I feel like the club kind of knew, and he knew what was going to happen at the start of January. So I think it's about time getting to back the manager, bring some new players in that can fit Inzaghi's system. If you can get another Juve next gen, not Juve Stabia, Juve next gen player that's probably better than Brunori or someone like that, then that can work out. But I feel like with him leaving, opens up the possibility of bringing someone that actually fits.
Well, the news that's been going around is that we are not gonna let Brunori go until a replacement is lined up. And
it seems like maybe
that's sort of been the news. Kind of, people thought this would be like this Brunori stuff has been done for about 2 weeks now, and people were surprised, it's not announced. And the news came out that it was because we hadn't got a replacement lined up yet. So if we're led to believe that, the fact that it has now finally been done means that we are close to getting someone in, whether that's Tramoni from Pisa, who we've been linked with, whether that's Johnson from Cremonese. Either of those players I think I'd be happy with. I think Tramoni is obviously the dream signing because he's worked with Inzaghi before. Hasn't been good in Serie A this season, hasn't really started for Pisa, but in Serie B, he was fantastic last season. And Inzaghi knows him. Inzaghi knows him really well. Pisa are asking for 6 million right now, which I think is way too much. That's kind of, but I think that price will low because I think Pisa are in a bit of financial problems, and I think eventually they're going to have to sell him. So I think Tramoni, I'm confident he will be a Palermo player, if I'm being honest, unless there's been any more updates now, which I haven't seen yet. But I am very confident he will join us. Jonsson, I think, would be another decent signing, as well as Vergara, who's, I believe, is at Cagliari on loan from Napoli right now. And he's sort of been a new name that's been added to sort of the list in terms of who we're looking at. It's clear that we want to strengthen the offense, the attack of the team. Pirini from Sassuolo, I'm not so convinced by. The one I really don't want, who we've been linked with, is Moreo from Pisa. I don't think there's a lot in him. If I know he's at Pisa and there's obviously the Inzaghi link, but I'm not too convinced by him, if I'm being honest. So like I said, Brunori leaving, obviously it's really sad. I just hope that we have a replacement lined up, which is what the news, told us, the local news and everything. That's what we're led to believe. So I think very soon we'll see somebody come in. But regardless of that, it's sad. It's sad. But yeah, sorry, carry on, Tim.
Oh, I mean, obviously, we'll see who Palermo get in terms of a replacement for Brunori. My assumption is probably it feels more like it might be someone from Pisa. I feel like that's what I'm leaning
Tramoni.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards.
That's who I think it will be. I know they're saying that they're asking for 6 million, which is obviously too high for Palermo, but I think eventually it will get done, in my opinion. Because the same happened with Poyampalo last January. Poyampalo, there was talks about it for weeks. It did drag on, Poyampalo. Venezia were asking for, decent money, but eventually it did get done. And I think the same will happen with Tramoni. I mean, to be honest, nobody thought we'd sign Poyampalo last January. It was a massive surprise because he was playing in Serie A with Venezia and everything, one of their main players, and nobody expected it, and it ended up happening. So look, hopefully we get this. Hopefully we get some signings in. Obviously we've obviously had 2 outgoings, including most notably Brunori, of course. But yeah, very, very, very sad. That's for sure. Obviously, club legend, all of this, and hopefully he does well at Sampdoria, just not against us. Because, like I said, loan players can play against their parent club, so he will play against us. Which
February
is
10th, I believe.
Yes,
the Sampdoria Palermo game in Sampdoria, I believe. So,
yeah.
My prediction would be we talk about that game, but yeah, I feel like it might be Tramoni. That's why
I'm hoping it is, because like I said, he's one again, like Serie B. He hasn't really made an impact in Serie A, but in Serie B, he knows where the goal is, and I think that Inzaghi really wants him, apparently. So hopefully we see that get done. But anyway, let's move on to the game. Obviously, this happened 2 weeks ago now because of the winter break. Palermo was still on the winter break, or 1 week ago, should I say. Obviously, Palermo didn't play this past weekend, but we did get a big win, a crucial win against Padova. Of course, 1-0. This was the game where Brunori said goodbye. Again, unfortunately for him, he didn't play. He, clapped all the fans after the game and everything. But this was very similar to Sampdoria at home a couple of weeks before. And not a great performance, a performance that I think has to be a lot better. But we got the job done. And this is the story with Palermo, is that at home this season, and it's becoming clear to me now, at home, we can get the job done. Away from home, we have to seriously fix up because our away form still isn't good. Like, we still don't have the best away record. I mean, but at home, though, apart from Monza, which is obviously, was a disaster, that game and everything. Apart from that, we haven't lost at home, and we have a very good home record, and this was no different, albeit, like I said, the performance was poor. Obviously, another goal for Poyampalo that takes him up to 12 goals for the season. Of course, he finally hit his stride now.
And stat padding.
You say stat padding, but he's winning us games. He's getting crucial goals like he did against Padova. 1-0, the winning goal in this game, albeit, we did get a bit lucky in a lot of ways. And I'm hoping that now, after the winter break, hopefully with a couple of signings in by the time we play Mantova, that we will start to see an improvement, because we really do need to improve. And like I said, Avellino was not a good performance away. We drew 2-2. This game was not a good performance either. But we got a result. And in recent weeks, we have been getting the result more often than not. But the performance has to be better. Because you look at this, we did create a higher XG than them. But, still, they had double the shots on target that we did. And in the second half, we were just kind of sitting back. We were kind of happy to defend, which ended up working. So I can't criticize it in any way. But at the same time, Padova, like I said, they're a tough team. They're a newly promoted team that have, again, kind of overachieved this season. Joronen made an excellent save he made to keep the score at 1-0 in this game. And we kind of rode our luck at times, but we did get the job done. In terms of the lineup, before I get into Palermo, there's a very notable player for Padova. Can you see who it is?
I have to check.
There's a very well-known player for Padova. Can you see who it is?
Harder?
Nope.
Gomez?
Papu Gomez.
Oh.
Papu Gomez, ex-Atalanta, ex-Catania as well. He obviously came back to play against Palermo. So that was definitely interesting. But the good thing is with Padova, both the Ultras have a really good friendship, kind of like Roma. So that there's no hard feelings whatsoever between Palermo and Padova. But they do have Papu Gomez, who is obviously ex-Catania, of course.
Won the World Cup, I believe.
He did win. Yeah, he did. He did win the World Cup.
So Catania players won the World Cup.
Dybala, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So Sicily had two players win two former players.
Exactly. But yeah, in terms of our team, obviously, Joronen in goal. They gave him man of the match because, like I said, that one save he made was unbelievable.
On who?
He made. I don't think it was Gomez. I think I can't remember which. It wasn't Gomez. It was one of them. I can't remember who exactly. Big up to Jordan in the chat as well every single time. But in terms of the defense, it was a makeshift back three, which, to be honest, it doesn't surprise me that we conceded more chances, because you look at this: Ceccaroni, Peda, and Veroli. That's two of our starters not playing in that game. No Bani, no Pierozzi or whoever plays on the right of the back three. No Diakite either. So it was a makeshift back three. No Bierinsinski. He's been starting a lot of games recently as well. So not our first choice apart from Ceccaroni. Kind of the midfield four in the 3-4-3. Agello, Segre, Ranocchia, as expected. Giassi in at right wing back. Pierozzi was on the bench, which was good. So he is back from injury, but obviously not fit enough to start. And then Le Duron and Palumbo and Poyampalo. Of course, the front three that we've kind of preferred in the past few weeks. So, yeah, that was the lineup. Like I said, a few makeshifts in there, especially in the defense. But we got the job done. And look, it was frustrating in a lot of ways, this game. Like I said, against better teams, we probably would have been punished. But at home, more often than not, we do somehow find a way at home. We just have to start replicating that more away from home. But like I said, not the best performance, but we have to improve, because otherwise we will drop points again. That's for sure. But I'll take the win all day long. I'll take the win. And at least we have structure. We definitely defend in a structure. We're not just doing traffic cones or anything. And we got the job done. That's just how I can describe this game. It was just getting the job done. Yeah, Ten, any thoughts on sort of the highlights you saw from this game?
Yeah, obviously it felt more like Palermo were basically more in charge of this game and being able to beat Padova, who obviously have been okay for the most part this season. Obviously it was their first loss in 5-6 games or something.
They've been on decent. I said this already. They have been on decent form coming into this.
And they're catching up to Empoli and the promotion spots. So I feel like this game, obviously, very good goal by Palo. I think it was from a cross, which he was practically left open. Score. So obviously, as long as he was able to score from there, then obviously it helped. And then obviously the big save which kept the score at 1-0. So I would say it was a pretty decent performance at home. Kind of expected, especially it was at home for Palermo. So yeah, a good result for Palermo.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And in terms of we play in March. Hopefully, we're not 15th by then, Spurs or anything. But in terms of the table, as you can see, this was the table or is the table kind of going into the winter break. Obviously, just under halfway into the season now. Palermo sitting in fourth in one of the playoff semi-final spots. A point, 2 points behind Venezia, still 4 points behind Monza. So still some work to do. If we're going to get towards the top two. Frosinone ended up drawing, so that kind of lowers the gap a little bit to Empoli, of course. So Dionisi doing us a bit of a favor there. But yeah, look, the table, like I've been saying, that the form has definitely picked up. I'm looking at our next two games, Mantova and Spezia. Has to be 6 points. Anything less than 6 points is awful. If I'm being really honest, you look at it, Mantova, second bottom. Spezia, I know they picked up a little bit, but still, 15th. So these next two games is a great opportunity for us to hopefully go within touching distance of that top two. We'll have to see what happens with other results, of course. But like I said, Palermo, overall, the form, the results are definitely, getting better. But like I said, the away form is something we still have to fix. Away from home, we still have to be a lot better. Away from home, we haven't been convincing most of the season. And we have to improve that. And I think when we play, the likes of Mantova, we have to be picking up wins. It's as simple as that. Virtus Entella, we couldn't beat them at their ground. So this has to massively improve. Obviously, we did beat Spezia away from home already this season. So we have to go and get another win against them at home this time around. But like I said, with Palermo, we just got to, win our games and hopefully, we can get towards that top two, but we have to stay consistent. And yeah, Ruben Scamarim has gone. We spoke about it earlier, but like I said, Palermo this season, consistency hasn't always been there and we have to find it. It's as simple as that. We have to be consistent if we're going to seriously threaten that top two. But yeah, sitting fourth at the moment, in a decent position, I would call it a decent position. But like I said, look, we still have, Catanzaro and Cesena, right behind us as well. Modena. I knew this would happen with Modena. I said it. I knew this would happen at the start of the season, so I'm not surprised. And then Juve Stabia still lurking there as well. But yeah, 10 thoughts on the table for Spurs. Not Spurs. I wish Spurs.
Okay, I can show you. Just saw the Spurs.
Thoughts on Serie B at the moment for Palermo.
I hope Frosinone go unbeaten from now until the end of the
season. Frosinone, man. Cheats. Absolute cheats.
I think the most surprising thing you could say is United States Catanzaro.
They've picked up. I think their win against us kickstarted their season.
Yeah, because since then they've picked up 7 more wins and all that. So yeah, I think
5 wins in a row for them. Their fans can cut their hair.
Yeah. So I think overall, it is still pretty tough. Obviously,
it's very tight, the table. That's
both,
for sure.
Deportivo and Palermo we're both on 33 points right now.
Although we've played 2 less games, to be fair.
Yeah, but that's because you have only 20 teams and we have 22 in total.
That's true.
But I feel like obviously we're both heading into the by the end of this weekend's games, we'll be both halfway through the season. For both, we'll have played 21 out of 42. Palermo will have played 19 out of 38 games. So, yeah, I think overall it's really important for Palermo to pick up a win, especially the gap between Monza and Frosinone it's basically the same as Deportivo's gap in the top 2. So, yeah, I think it's a very important month to at least be within the touching distance of the promotion spots, although I know Palermo do have a bit of safety net with the, it's up to 8th place that gets minimum.
Yeah, but 3rd and 4th, 3rd and 4th go straight into the semi-finals of the playoffs. That's how it works.
that at the moment seems like pretty good for Palermo, but obviously it's about trying to.
And also, you look at this, we've got the best defense in the league. We've conceded the least amount of goals, 13 goals in 18 games. You know, the defense has clearly been the impressive part of our game this season.
Yeah,
and that's a massive improvement because last season we couldn't defend for shit last season.
yeah,
And this is the difference between Inzaghi and Dionisi. So
one of the best managers ever. I feel like the table right now looks pretty good for Palermo, even if Palermo were to not win the next game. They still have some favorable fixtures coming up as well. Palermo, I have to check. But yeah, I think it's important.
And Mantova and Spezia has to be 6 points.
And then you have Modena, Bari, and then Empoli again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really important for Palermo to pick up wins in the next 2 or 3 games.
100%. Yeah, we definitely, especially like I said, the next 2 games are very winnable. A big opportunity for us to really kind of get towards Monza and Frosinone. But in terms of the next game, we of course play Mantova, who, like I mentioned, are sitting 19th. They have been, very poor this season in so many games. The problem is, though, is like I said, Palermo, have had a habit of sometime away from, not at home, but away from home, dropping points that we shouldn't be dropping. Virtus and Tetla, Avellino, both of those stick out to me. Mantova has to be 3 points. Away from home, I want to see us put in a proper... I'll be honest, our last convincing away performance was against Subtirol, which was like 3rd game of the season or something. So since then, I haven't been convinced with us away from home since that game against Subtirol. But this is a great chance for us to finally pick up some momentum away from home. Mantova, awful form. We should be going in there and, stamping our authority on the game. It's as simple as that. And I think hopefully Paolo can, really kind of, score goals in this game. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully by then, if we have at least one signing in, I think that will obviously make a difference for us as well. But 10, I'll let you go first. What's your prediction and thoughts for Palermo's game against Mantova? Of course, Bardi in goal for them against us. So that might be interesting.
How many penalties did he save in that Cremona?
He saved 2. He saved 2 penalties against Cremonese in the shootout.
How good was he in that shootout?
Good. He was great. One of the saves was a really good save, I remember.
You know what? I will go. Before the 90 minutes is over, I'll go 1-1. And then Palermo have a penalty in the last minute.
Oh, what are you doing?
I guess it's Paolo. I guess that usually takes penalties.
Paolo don't miss. He don't miss.
Up against Bardi. And then Bardi, you know how he'll save it?
What?
Do like a backflip save or something.
Oh, my God.
And Paolo doesn't score. The game eventually ends. And I'm going 1-1. Just like how I said about Deportivo's game. I'll go 1-1 with Bardi. Probably not keeping clean sheet, but if he does, damn. But I'll go 1-1 to start off just a little bit to get Palermo a little bit, not really up and running, but to gain just some points. So I'll go 1-1 against Mantova, especially it's away and all that. And Bardi, if there is a penalty, saves the penalty. Acrobatic save or something like that. So I'll go 1-1. And
I swear, if that happens, my word. Obviously, if you're talking about previous results against Mantova, we drew 0-0 there last season and drew 2-2 at home. So we didn't beat them last season, albeit they were better than they are this season, and we were worse than we are this season. So it's definitely very different. And I'm expecting a win. I'm expecting a comfortable win. Whether that happens, I don't think it'll be entirely comfortable if knowing Palermo away from home this season. So I'm going to go over 2-0. I don't think it will be, the most spectacular game, but I do think, we'll have more. We should anyway. We should have more than enough quality to get this over the line. So I'm gonna go for 2-0. I do think we get it done, but let's see. And hopefully, like I said, in terms of the transfers, hopefully we see at least one player come in by next week.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Mantova and Palermo do on this coming Sunday, first game back.
Yeah, after the winter break. Yeah, so should be interesting. But like I said, massive game, have to win it. Just like I said, these next two games have to be 6 points, and obviously we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I guess that sort of concludes the show for today. Of course, La Piña Rosa, Deportivo, and Palermo. Transfer news on both sides. Of course, most notably Brunori leaving Palermo after 4.5 years at the club. Obviously very sad, being our captain and everything. And yeah, 10, any final thoughts before we wrap up the show?
Yeah, obviously, I will be live later tonight for Nigeria against Mozambique. Or Mozambique, famously the nation of, if anyone knows, Johnny English, reborn, Johnny English reborn. So we'll see. Looking forward to that one. I don't know if Charlie will be on or not, or maybe Jordan, if you want to join, if you're still in the chat, you can join. Or I'll probably also ask Josh if he wants to. We'll see. But yeah, obviously looking forward to the game later tonight. Come on, Mozambique. Come on. And also tomorrow we'll do our show, Year of the Birds. I know it's not involving Newcastle Spurs, but
Scammerim has gone.
And obviously it'll be the first show since Maresca has gone as well.
Maresca. Listen, I would take Maresca at Spurs. I wouldn't take Scammerim, but although do you know what's really funny is I actually think we've got the players to play a system. That's the funny thing.
Maybe.
I actually think our players are suited to a system. But anyway, that's another topic.
For another time. For tomorrow.
Probably for tomorrow when I'm gonna, rant again about my club.
I'll probably join you for at least the second one.
At least you won back-to-back games, something we haven't done since the first 2 games of the season. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, looking forward to tomorrow's show and obviously later tonight for Nigeria, Mozambique, and obviously subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to both channels if you haven't already, guys. Make sure you're liking the stream. And yeah, we're going to wrap it up. Big up everybody for watching, and we will see you